What's going on, guys? Up here at the farm, getting ready to pull a carb off my parts car. Been trying to figure out how to explain to you what the issue was with my car in the last video without sounding like a jackass, but there's just no way to do it. So basically the problem was with the idle. My Autolite 1100 carburetor had an idle speed screw that I never saw. I saw the idle mixture screw, and there's a screw for the high idle speed on the choke system, but down underneath all that there was an idle speed screw. Fortunately, a lot of you guys took to the comments to help me out, and Dano14093, who has been a big help for me in the past, also sent me an email and said, hey, I think you're getting your screws wrong. He detailed out what I should do. I looked at the carburetor, sure enough the screw was there, so I knew that was most likely the right track. So basically his recommendations were disengage the choke, take that out of the equation, start with these base settings on all those screws, see how it runs. The thing ran great, got my timing set. Alright, so right now she's still at 6 degrees before top dead center. We need to change that. Got to be careful I don't cut my arm off here. There, she's at 8 degrees. Alright, that's about 12 right there. Sounds way better than anywhere we got in the last video. Everything with the carburetor works really good until I bring the choke into play. And I don't think the choke is together properly. So I'm up here today. Hopefully this one's never been messed with. Gonna take lots of photos of it, pull it, and see if I can't figure out what's going on. Worst case scenario, I'll rebuild this one, and hopefully I can throw it on the Iron 6. Alright, so the carburetor setup on this straight 6 is very different than the Autolite 1100 that I have. The choke is on this side. It's a whole different carburetor altogether. The linkage is very different. I'm going to take this one and look at the operation of this one and see if I can't figure out the operation of mine. I might be able to just rebuild this one if mine isn't working properly and put this one on my car, because they do look like the mounting is the same. There's definitely some things I did differently from 65 to 66, like the vacuum line here out of the intake. Normally on mine it runs down to the transmission from there. On this one it wraps around and goes up down into there somewhere. The fuel pump is laid out differently. The canister points down, which I think is better than the way they have it, because on mine the canister sits up and the coil is right in here, and everything's all right. There's where the coil should be mounted, and it's all just very close together. It doesn't seem like the safest setup to me, but anyway, let's get this pulled off. Alright, got what I came for. Very different carburetor. Looks like it mounts the same. This one is going to need a lot of love. Not sure. This is a Motorcraft. Hopefully this is a better one. That's why they went with it in 66. And I might, depending on my research, get this one all cleaned up and use this one instead. Might do that eventually and just try to fix the one I have. Things to think about anyway. Let's get back to the garage and see what we can figure out. It was good to pillage and plunder. All right, we're back at the house. I'm gonna take the carb off again because I am convinced that something in this linkage, particularly the cam, is not hooked up properly. So whether it be this spring that puts tension on the cam is not on right, because look, I can just move this cam freely, and I'm fairly certain it's not supposed to be like that. Something in here is not going on right. So I have scoured the internet for photos, I've taken snapshots off of videos, I've gotten the rebuild diagram for this thing. So we're gonna pop this off, figure out what the heck is going on here. So the carburetor is coming off again. It's the story of my life. I'm not even gonna film it. I'll just pick up when I have it off. And so I think the issue we're having is the cam right in here. This guy. I think the spring needs to be up on this end of the cam because the cam doesn't move down, I believe, the way it's supposed to. See, once the choke closes, when the choke opens, it doesn't move this cam down. Nothing pulls this up. So I think that's an issue. So I think I need to take this apart and make sure this spring is on properly and get it back together and see if things are working the way they should. So again, it's this cam right here that's in question. The way the spring is mounted on there, the spring is down here on this end of the cam. See if you can see that right there. That spring will move over, and I think this hook is supposed to be up here on this end of the cam. So we'll try that. Hopefully it fixes it. In the meantime, if anybody has an Autolite 1100 with an automatic choke and they want to take pictures of this setup for me, that would be great, and email them to me, because again, I'm not 100% sure. I can't find online any detailed photos, and I had this apart and I thought I put it back together correctly, but I don't think it is back together correctly. Okay, so now with that spring back on this side, the cam moves with the assembly, which I believe is correct. So we'll put this back on and see if it's operating any better. All right guys, we got her back on. There were some bench adjustments I had to make to the carb, mainly to the positioning of the choke plate in this nut, and there's a little tab down here called a tang that I had to bend. And the other important thing is I got the heat riser tube reconnected. I had to drill out the old tube because the old tube that originally came with the car had rusted out into the manifold. So I drilled that out as per the advice of Harvey Redmond, aka Rally Cat Garage. So that is hooked up, so that should help this choke function much better. And we're gonna fire it up. This is where the choke is choosing the rest with the on bench adjustments, and we will see where the car idles with the tachometer when it starts. Should probably put some more gas in here to be safe, and then we'll fire it up. I want to point out that the fuel is now being pulled in by a new filter and fuel pump, going from a new line to an inline filter before it goes into the carb. So that should take care of any issues we have with this carb getting clogged. I do have the new fuel tank and new fuel line run up to right there. I just haven't hooked it up yet because there's a few things I have to do back there by the gas tank that I want to get taken care of before I fill it with fuel. So we're almost there. Let's see how this thing runs. My guess is it's going to idle incredibly fast, and I'm going to have to make more adjustments now that I've done all this work. Ooh. Now she doesn't want to run at all. What did I do here? Well, she's actually running very nicely. We actually got to bring the idle up some. should be idling a lot faster with that choke. Which means we probably need to make an adjustment to the idle speed screw. Just out of curiosity. Yeah, we're gonna have to play with that idle speed screw quick. There we go. We want to get her up around 800. Happy with that. That sounds so much better. Hopefully we have this all figured out and I can get back to priming the panels and wrapping things up so we can get this thing on the road. I do want to hit the throttle and see if I can stall it out. Nope, she doesn't want to stall. That is awesome. Good idle. The timing's good. The choke looks like it's working properly now. We, by golly, may have just gotten this thing fixed. By the way, the exhaust gets sucked out through that hose, up into the attic, and then down out through this vent. That's why I have the garage door down some, so it's not coming right back into the garage. But she is running like a champ. Tell you what I'm gonna have to do. We're gonna put the truck on the street and we'll back her down out of the driveway, put her in reverse, see how she does backing up under load. We'll go from there. I'm sure a lot of you guys know how just freaking happy I am. You want to feel like an accomplished man? Fight with a carburetor for a week, tear it apart 3 times, get it back together, put it back together wrong, realize you did something wrong, tear it apart again, and do hours worth of research until you figure it out. And when you figure it out, it's like winning a gold medal at the Olympics. I'm sure. I mean, I've never done it, but it's got to be right up there with that. A good day. All right, dudes and dudettes, come with me for a little drive down the driveway. Let's see how she does. We'll see. I took the tack off, but we'll see what it does whenever I throw it and drive. She starts up nicely. I don't know where to stick this. I guess maybe here. I don't know. Is that good? That's awful. Oh God, I'm filling the garage up with fumes. I'll just hold you. And away we go. See what she does when I rev it. Seems to be okay. Still a little bit of a random mess, but I'm not too worried about that at this point. I could have messed up those plugs again whenever I was doing all this work. We're just gonna let that. Oh, Mama's leaving. Where are you going, ma'am?
going to dinner. Have fun with your kids. Don't forget to feed them.
Okay, Mama.
Love you.
Love you. By God, I think I'm happier than Tom Hanks whenever he struck a fire in Castaway. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. We let the car cool down. I ate some dinner. We're not out of the woods yet. I still want to run compression tests on the cylinders. I want to replace the valve cover gasket. I'm not going to do any of this in this video. I want to replace the valve cover gasket because we have that oil leaking on the threads, and I want to see if that eliminates the issue. Also, in the past, she struggles in reverse going up this steep driveway, so we'll see how she does here. Just take a second to look at that underside though. She is really coming together. I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to a camera. People think I'm crazy. All right, let's see how she does. Okay, so she starts and holds an idle. Get our mirrors adjusted. All right, let's see how she does. There's still some hesitation there in reverse. I read that could be a fuel pump issue, which it's a new fuel pump, so that shouldn't be it. Maybe I'm not done taking this carburetor off and cleaning it. I don't know. A lot of you guys gave the suggestion of setting my idle speed mixture and idle speed with a vacuum. I do have a vacuum gauge. That is something I should do. There's lots of stuff I need to do. So for the record, I have started filming and stopped filming this video twice before I started filming this one because it's just boring stuff trying to figure out the carb, and it's been a struggle. But I have to give a very big thank you to Dano14093 in the comments, and he's been a big help in the past. And after the last video, he sent me an email saying, "Look, I think you're getting your screws wrong. Try this." Tried it. Got the car running really well with the choke taken out of the equation. But when I threw the choke back in the equation, we had all kinds of problems. The linkage, as we discovered, wasn't put back together correctly with the choke. And I think it's all figured out. She's running okay. I think she's running good enough that I'll be able to drive it. Oh, that's the other thing. I ordered my plate and tag for the car, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get in. So at the earliest, I'm gonna be able to get this inspected in mid-October. So that's bought me a little bit more time. Kind of bummed about it, but there's still more stuff I gotta do. I wanna get the panels primed. Man, what else? I wanna fine tune the brakes one more time, but we're about there. Guys, isn't she pretty? She's awesome. She's only a straight 6, but in my eyes, she's just a beast. Man. Have you got yourself an Iron 6 yet? If you haven't, I highly recommend you do so because you will be miserable and happy all at the same time. It is just a roller coaster thrill ride, day in and day out. So, I think I'm gonna cut it here and get this video up for you guys because it's been a while since I uploaded that last video. I have no idea how I'm gonna edit all this footage together to make a cohesive video because, like I said, I've started and stopped it. This is the 3rd time. So, anyway, we are on the road to success, and that's all that matters. So until the next episode, guys, stay driven.